Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. I am so grateful to everybody who has tuned in and is listening. It means a lot to me. And I've been thinking a lot about this in the last week, in particular because just a couple days ago, we passed 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is just an absolutely mind-boggling number to me, considering 4 months ago when we started on the YouTube journey and decided that we're going to take it seriously and that we're going to be putting out the best content that we possibly could, that at that point we only had 220 subscribers. And it wasn't for a lack of trying. Like, we have been on YouTube putting out videos since 2020. So it's been a couple of years and putting out regular content and doing the work. But, you know, for whatever reason, the content just wasn't hitting. I just wasn't good enough in my storytelling and our delivery and, so many different areas. And we finally figured it out, I think, in a lot of ways. And the fact that maybe you are here listening to this podcast because you found the YouTube channel is maybe a testament to just how awesome it's been and how just grateful I am for everybody to take the time to watch those videos and leave feedback. And it's just really cool. But I wanted to share today because a lot of you guys are entrepreneurs, a lot of you are creators putting out your own content, wanting to, make your own impact on the world. And I think social media is a great way of doing that, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, like all these platforms are fantastic. And I wanted to share the two things in particular that we did that enabled us to grow so much in the last couple months on YouTube in particular. So if that's a channel that you're interested in growing on, then you're going to want to stay tuned because I'm going to give you walk through exactly what we've done, the things that we focused on that were really important to our growth. Now you can just take and start to apply into your own creation process. Hopefully that can be really valuable to you. And these tips, they're not exclusive to YouTube. Some of them maybe a little bit more, but there's nuggets that we can take and we can apply to pretty much creating content in any social media platform. And so without further ado, let's get into it. The first one, I'm only going to talk about two things. One is consistency and the other is intentionality. And so consistency, this is the secret sauce, is, we've grown explosively over the last 4 months. That's true. But again, we've been around doing this for years. It's 2023 right now. So we've been doing this for 3 years, over 3 years. And it's just now that things have been hitting. And it's funny, I shared a graph of this on Twitter. So if you guys want, you can go check it out, of our views over time. And it's just this long, flat line. It looks like the line is at zero for multiple years. And then, 4 or 5 months ago, all of a sudden that line just kind of spikes to the moon. And it's been, staying very high. But what it does is it looks like nothing was happening for many years. And in truth, it felt like that in a lot of ways. When you zoom in on the graph, you can see we were getting maybe 200, 300 views a day or, and that's great. That's awesome. I remember putting out content and getting 200 views and being like, heck yeah, that's amazing. And so definitely not it's not zero, right? But it feels like zero at times because, you put so much hard work and energy into these things. And when they don't, when you don't see the growth that you think you should or you think you deserve, then it can be very disappointing. It can be very frustrating. But I encourage you to remember that behind every overnight success, there is 10 years of hard work. There's no exceptions to this. It's pretty much an immutable law of the universe. And so I think it's important that as you start down this journey, that you are strapped in and ready for the really long haul. Because I know a lot of people right now will hear this and they're thinking, yeah, I'm totally committed. I'm going to do whatever it takes for however long it takes. And that's it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to continue doing that when you go through these very long periods. I'm talking years of feeling like you are completely and utterly wasting your time, that you think your content's garbage, that you're no good, that nobody cares, that it's just not resonating, and that you should just give up because you're wasting time. And at a certain point, you're like, well, how do I know if this is ever going to turn around? And the thing is that you don't. But the most surefire way to succeed is to just never quit, right? And recognize that you have to change the paradigm in which you measure success, especially in those early years, of putting out content where it seems like nobody's really paying attention. And for me, the mental shift that was very, very valuable is that it's not about views, it's about reps. And each rep gets you one closer to your goal. And so it's important that you don't obsess over taking the perfect step. Instead, you just take the next one. Like, oh, that wasn't a very good one. I kind of stumbled a little bit. Who cares? Take another one. Keep moving forward. So you just get to work on that next video, the next tweet, the next blog, the next podcast episode, that whatever, right? Recognize that the most important thing that is in fact growing during this period, it can't be measured on a dashboard. It's your skills. And skills pay compounding interest regardless of economic conditions. And so every rep that you put in into leveling up your ability into your capacity is well spent, even if you can't see it right now reflected in the analytics and the dashboard and the views, the subscriber count, or any of that stuff. So that's number one. That's the first secret sauce, consistency. Number two is intentionality. Now, in the beginning, like, you just put out the work so that you can level up as, a speaker, a storyteller, a performer, a writer, like an editor, all of these things. You're just putting in the reps, and it doesn't really matter what in particular you're talking about or how well you're doing it, because you're just putting out the content right now so that you can get better. But once you've reached a certain level of skill, it's time to start doing less, but better. And in particular on YouTube, what I found is that there's three things that you really need to get better at. One is the title, number two is the thumbnail, and number three is the storytelling. So let's kind of dive into these. The title is probably the most important thing, not because it's going to add value or anything, but because the first rule of copywriting is that if your title sucks, nobody's going to click. And if nobody clicks, then it doesn't matter how great the content is, nobody's going to see it. So you have to get people into the content. This doesn't mean, being clickbaity, though I'm not opposed to like having clickbaity titles, as long as when people get into the content, you're actually delivering value, right? Clickbait, I think, is when you make a promise and then you don't deliver on that promise. And so I'm all about playing the YouTube algorithm, is talking about being a millionaire and doing it in 3 years and like all those things, right? And it's not because I want you guys to think more highly of me. I think how cool I am and look at my achievements. It's just to get you into the content, to intrigue you, to click. And then from there, I can deliver the value, but I cannot do that if you do not first click. So that's number one, is entitling. And this is something that we spend hours obsessing about. Thinking of like, should we capitalize every letter or the first letter in every word? Should we use I statements, or should I use a you statement? Should we include a time frame in there, like how to become a millionaire in under 3 years? Or should it be how you can become a millionaire in under 3 years? Or how I became? Like, all these things matter at the end of the day. And it doesn't seem like it, but one word can change absolutely everything. And one thing that you can do to fast track or to make it more likely that you stumble on a title that's actually going to hit is to do market research. And the way that you do this is you go find competitors in your niche, people who are a little bit further ahead of you. So if you have like 100 subscribers, don't go looking at somebody who has 100,000 or 1,000,000 subscribers. Their content doesn't apply to you. Instead, go find somebody who has like 5,000 or 10,000 subscribers. Go into their videos and then look through them, or filter them based on popularity. So you can see what their most popular videos are, and then look at videos in the last year that had a disproportionate virality. Like, what caused these videos to pop, right? Take those titles, take those thumbnails, and then use those as inspiration for crafting your own. That's a really great way to ensure that whatever you're going to put out there is going to appeal to the YouTube algorithm. The second thing then, once you get your title dialed in, is your thumbnail. And the truth is that people do judge a book by its cover. So your cover has to be really damn good. And I find this one to be interesting as the area that most people get completely wrong, and myself included. I did this wrong for so long because the common wisdom says that you need to make a silly face, you need to point at something like an idiot, you have to have brightly colored backgrounds and like massive text and emojis and images and all that stuff, right? You've seen those thumbnails, like, you know what I'm talking about. And the problem with this is that if you follow the common advice, you get common results. So if you want to stand out, you have to be different. So here's the secret. A great thumbnail evokes an emotion. That's it. A great thumbnail evokes an emotion. Two of our best thumbnails, they have very little text in the grand scheme of things. And the text is not super clear what it's referring to, but the images, they evoke this emotion. And for most people, that emotion or that feeling that it's evoking is the feeling of, I want to click and see what this is about. And so think really hard about, how do I make beautiful thumbnails that evoke emotions? And truthfully, you probably are not spending nearly enough time on this one thing. Like, seriously, we spent the other day, three of us, me, Axel, and Akil, about an hour shooting hundreds of photos in various locations, various poses, various, trying to evoke various feelings before we landed on the right shot. So we'll take hundreds of pictures and only end up using one of them. And that's the difference between having a video that gets 10 views versus 1 million views. And I'm not kidding you. It's crazy, but it's true. If you nail the title and the thumbnail, then you're going to get clicks. But then they're going to get there. They're going to get to the meat of the content, and you have to deliver value. And so that's where the storytelling comes in. Your ability to tell a great story in a captivating way that educates, inspires, that is what's going to make the video go viral. And so you have to be a great storyteller, first and foremost. And that is its own massive topic that I'm going to break down in future podcasts, how to tell stories better. It's something that I've never really thought about. Like, I've written a bunch of best-selling books and videos and all that stuff. I consider myself a storyteller. I obsess over it, but I've never tried to teach it. So I'm going to I haven't committed to this fully in my mind yet, but I'm probably going to create a little mini storytelling course. If you're interested in learning about that when it comes out, then you're going to want to subscribe to the newsletter. Go to anthonyvicino.com/newsletter, and I'll share some more information about like what that looks like, the time frame when it's going out. Like, because this podcast airs about 3 months after I record them, there is a chance that this is already out. So go look it up. Maybe it's already done. But I think that's, storytelling to me is like the most important skill. I think it's something that connects humans. It can enable you to sell your products more easily in a business. I think it's the skill that pays the most dividends in life if you can connect with people and tell compelling stories. And so I encourage you to spend some time, read some books. I have a link on Amazon in my little Amazon store with a bunch of books that have really helped me become a better storyteller. So you can go over there and check those out. I think that's a really good resource, or a good place to start at least. So that's how we've done it. That's how we grew on YouTube from literally just 220 subscribers back in October to over 50,000 as of January 10th. So it's been a wild ride, and truly, I owe it to each and every one of you for taking the time to check out the videos. It means, I can't even tell you how much it means, honestly. It's incredible. It's truly incredible. But that's going to do it for me here today, guys. Like always, I appreciate you. I thank you for being here and for being committed to being just a little bit better today than you were yesterday. I'm looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Until then, stay hyper-focused.